Woo-hoo! All right, we're on Hunters Hangout. This is season 7. That's right, 7. It's been 7 years, and this is episode 8. And woohoo! Let's give a clap just for that. Just because we've been on so long. Yeah. All right.
Applause.
That's right. So, okay, over here we got Kathy. She's going to be monitoring questions. Why don't you tell them what's going to happen with all that?
Oh, I'm monitoring the feed right now on Facebook. That's where the link is, and that's where all your questions go, so that you can be eligible to win great prizes tonight.
That's surprised. That's surprised. And just so you guys know, you can watch Facebook and YouTube, but you just have to do a split screen. That way you can watch a show and follow along in the comments. Yes. And we have Phil, our DJ tonight. Yeah. All right. So now we're going to go over all the prizes that we're going to have tonight. And he's going to put the picture up.
Put the pictures up. Look at that. I'm rusty. I had a week off, and look at this. I can't even get pictures up.
Yeah, a week off. And rusty as hell. Now let's see if I can get through this without Jamie here. Okay, people. Today, one lucky winner will receive a mask from Face Factory Effects. Woo, the pig mask. All right. Okay, we got more than one mask tonight. Fright Props are giving away a zombie latex mask. Woo! We have Simple Audio. One lucky winner will receive one free SFX library, 25% off original sounds and designs, and 10% off amps and speakers. Ornaments is giving away a nut and bone cracker. Woo!
Woo!
Yeah. Froggy's Fog is giving away 1 gallon of bog fog juice.
Wow.
Now, see, Jamie didn't put bog fog. That's why I was having a problem. It said fog from fog frog. Damn it, Jamie. I was doing so good. You messed me up reading your stuff. All right. Next, we have 6 awesome badges. You can award your actors from Scarlet Badges.
Woo! You sure it's not 7?
Not 7, 6 of them.
6, yeah, 6.
Okay. Now, everybody watching, everyone, even the guests, gets 50% off Sam Haines just for watching, and the code is hANUTERS. And just so you guys know, his stuff's only like $1, so it's 50 cents for you. Go check it out. Long time. Yeah. These are the longest sponsors that we've had so far. He's been with us from the beginning. Okay. 1 of 3 realistic skulls from Nightmare Makers you will receive. Woo! Okay. Damn, there's still more. I'm running out of breath. Woo.
Oh, man.
Hey,
we don't need to faint here.
Okay, you will receive from FXX Makeups a $25 gift certificate.
Oh, man.
And from Exotic Lenses, 1 free non-prescription normal size lenses.
Nice.
And an amazing mask from Missing Finger Productions. That's 3 masks tonight we're giving away. Last but not least, Hot Wire Foam Factory is giving away a $25 gift certificate.
Yeah.
Okay, at the end, we will, Kathy will announce the winners, and you have the following day until the end of the night to respond and just message me and with your name, address, and your email and your phone number. You have the 1 day. All right, we're going to turn it over to our DJ.
All right, so I am going to quickly talk about, if you guys haven't done so yet, definitely reserve your hANUTERS Hangout t-shirt, limited edition. So make sure you guys go and find that post on the Hangout and reserve your shirt today.
Yeah,
that's right. Hey, that video rocks too.
Hey, that's a nice video. Thank you, Lisa.
Yes.
Just remember, the shirts are almost getting ready to be ordered, so don't wait till last minute. Get your shirts ordered for St. Jude's Children's Hospital. 100%. 100% goes to St. Jude's. We do not even take a dime. We don't take a cent. We're
That's
even
awesome.
paying for our own shirts. So make sure
Yes.
you order your shirts.
Hey, by the way, I need to get 2 more. Well, so we'll get the show started tonight. We wanted to say welcome to our panel tonight. We have some great haunts to show you guys. We want to start out with John Jeffries from John Jeffries Haunt. John, why don't you introduce yourself and talk a little bit about your haunt and where you're from?
Okay. Name's John Jeffries from Maryville, Tennessee. Really not sure why I was asked on here. I've only been doing this 2 years, so I'm really new to this. But in 2017, me and a buddy and my wife were all sitting on the back porch, and we always have a Halloween party every year. So we got to talk, and we're like, well, why don't we just do a haunted house for the Halloween party? And that's where it all sprung from. And of course, the first year was pretty basic with the black plastic walls and very few props and not very good makeup, that sort of thing. But we're improving. I've only got 1 more year since then, but this past year I went with pallet walls, so I've stepped it up a little bit. Not to panels yet, but I'm getting there.
Well, I love
And
balls, man.
what's that? But that really got me started in haunting, and that's when I started looking up all the YouTube videos and found Haunters Hangout website, and there are a ton of tutorials on there that can really help you improve your game.
Oh, yeah.
That's for
Oh,
sure.
yeah.
We have the biggest YouTube tutorial website out there.
Yes,
There's
for sure.
one bigger. We got number 1. So who was it first? Was it your wife or you that wanted to do the hunt?
It was, believe it or not, it was my wife's decision. She was the one who came up with the idea, and we loved it, so we went with it, and I'm so glad we did.
All right,
It's my
so,
passion.
Wow.
so your wife does it with you then? She likes it?
She'll act in the haunt. She doesn't really do much else as far as that, but we do it as a party, as a private party. So she spends a lot of time dealing with the party side of it while I do the haunt side.
Yeah. The other haunt couple hates guys. All right, moving on.
Knew that was coming.
All right. Well, we'll move over now to Sarah Berkley from Mombie's Madhouse. I hope I said that right.
Yep, you did. You did.
Okay.
Um,
Perfect.
so yeah, I'm from Springfield, Illinois. I have been in haunting one form or another since I was a kid. My parents started doing it, like I said, when I was a kid. I started Mombie's Madhouse about 5 years ago, I think. What I do with my haunt, I raise money for autism, and a lot of the actors that are in my haunt either have autism or have family members with autism. So that's why we do that. We also collect canned food, non-perishable food for local food pantry. It's also a yard display as well. I actually started out with the yard display first, and then one of my actors begged me to expand it to a haunted house. He begged me for years before I finally did it. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is. I don't have anything as fancy as like animatronics. All my stuff, we hand make it. I do have some store-bought items as well, but we hand make all my dummies and everything. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Oh, that sounds awesome. You guys do a lot over there.
I know. Do they get involved a lot with when you try to set up, or they kind of just they show up once everything's all done?
The yard we set up. I start working on it pretty much the end of September on, and then the day of is when a lot of it gets set up. The majority of it gets set up, and almost everybody shows up to work on it and get it set up. So because we're only open on Halloween night, we tried doing it like a couple of nights, and we didn't hardly get anybody. So we're strictly Halloween night only.
Doug Cox would like to know, is Mombie your favorite movie from that collection on your right?
This actually is not my house.
Oh, that's great.
This is actually my parents' house.
Right.
But Mombie was actually influenced. The original idea for the haunt. I am a huge Wizard of Oz fan, and one of the characters that's actually in my yard is actually from Wizard of Oz as well, Jack Pumpkinhead. And then Mombie is actually one of the witches from that movie, or well, from the movies and also from the book. And the original idea was to do a very twisted take on the Wizard of Oz, but it never quite came to that because I wanted to do something different every year. So I still have the two characters, and there is a little bit of that in the backstory for Mombie herself. So
Nice. Very cool. All right. Well, thank you, Sarah.
no problem.
We're going to move over now to Lisa from Holly Haunt. Welcome, Lisa.
Hi. Should I start where I was born or? I'm all over the place. So right now I'm based in Kansas. My haunt is more store-bought stuff. Sorry, guilty.
It's okay.
Because of the moves we do all the time. We have to work with what we got because the movers, kind of trash our stuff, and anything I make, it's like, oh, you broke it, it's gone, we lost. So I try to keep it basic for stuff I don't care about. It's broken or gone.
Nice. Now,
She's
how
like,
often have you?
She's like, I keep it basic with stuff I don't care about.
Yeah.
Right? No, when you move all the time and the movers are packing your stuff, you're just like, what is going to come out the other end of your stuff,
Right.
So military. It's military as well.
Yeah. Always on the move.
Yep.
So how many times have you moved in regards to even like your haunt in general, we'll say?
So 1, 2, 3, 4, and with the 5th one's coming up here in another year. So.
Jeez. And do you
Until I
change
get
themes
my
every
own
time you
place.
move?
No, I'm using the same old. I just
Same
kind
theme?
of shift around and change. Yeah, but I like working with projections a lot. Last house we were at, we had 6 windows, so every window had projections. Had projections in the graveyard. I like to just kind of take what's cheap or what people look at and laugh at and kind of pop it up a little bit to give the illusion it's better than it really is.
Nice.
Right. That's what hunters do right there. That's hunting 101.
Yeah.
It's nice when you move like that.
Right.
Yep. Awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, how do you train? Do you take all your stuff with you everywhere you go, or you just leave it and start over?
Me? Oh, no, I take it everywhere. In fact, that horse I have, the big skeleton horse, I had to take it with me. I did not want the guys to pack because I was afraid I would never see it again. And when I did that, it ended up being too big to put in the trailer, so I had to snap the head off. That was
Oh,
so there's
no.
a lot of twist ties on it. But thank God it's painted black, so you don't see the black twist ties.
Should have let the Packers do it.
Yeah.
No, God, no, they would break it.
Oh, yeah.
It's supposed to be the headless horse man, not the headless horse.
Right? Yeah, it's a headless horse now. Very rigged. A lot of duct tape.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Lisa. And then we'll close out here with Chris Stone from Vulture Tree Haunt. Welcome, Chris.
Hey, so I started out 5 or 6 years ago, really doing the haunting. My neighbor and I found out we both liked Halloween. In that first year, we ended up doing a walkthrough haunt for the apartment, like Halloween party for the kids. So they actually gave us the building with the atrium, all the storage units. People were actually pulling the stuff out of their storage bins, so we had extra rooms to decorate. And we were going to do it just because we liked doing it, and they ended up giving us like $300 budget and took a little bit of money off of our rent afterwards. So we did that for 2 years. He's military, so he ended up having to move, and then we moved out to Rochester. So I've been on my own for like 3 years now. and just kind of moved from tombstones and some small props now to having a garage the last 2 years where I can actually do a walkthrough. 2 years ago, it was kind of a mishmash. Everything I had went in the garage just to have something up. And then this past year is when I did the Cursed Waters, the underwater themed walkthrough.
Very
Nice.
cool. Yeah, I was following you all along with that. I was like, man, it's gonna look cool when you're done.
No, appreciate it.
What got you into doing an underwater scene?
I'm always getting different ideas and things I want to do. It was something I'd never really seen. You know, and you can get some pretty cool looking creatures in the underwater, and it's that dark. And some people you're kind of claustrophobic with that water feel.
Nice.
Lots of talk.
Go ahead, Kathy.
Lots to talk about hot glue.
Oh yeah, lots of glue.
Okay, we'll be talking about that when we go through your pictures.
Oh sure, absolutely.
Right.
How many times? Well, I'm gonna ask the first question then. How many times have you gotten burned?
Actually, not too many. You know,
Yeah.
sometimes I'm doing stupid things like putting the glue on and then having to hold it, so it's a little extra hot sometimes. I maybe have had a blister or two out of the whole mess, surprisingly.
Huh. Wow. Pretty good then, because I feel like every time I touch hot glue, I burn the shit out of my finger.
Yeah, no, definitely possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you get enough of it coated on your fingers, you can't feel it anyway.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, thank you, Chris. All right, so we'll go back to the top now. We'll come back to John here. John will start showing some of your pictures that we have.
Okay.
So, is this something you built yourself?
Yes, sir. I built that.
Nice.
It is a PVC frame, and I use chicken wire for the body, and then great stuff over top of the chicken wire, and a handy little tool. If you want to switch back to my camera, this is what I used to carve with.
What is that?
It is, honestly, it's some type of saw. I couldn't tell you the name of it, but some sort of hand saw.
Did you get that like a craft store or something, or is that just like a saw you found at a thrift shop or something?
I inherited that.
Oh, nice.
That was my stepdad's. Yeah, he did a lot of woodworking, so I inherited that from my stepdad.
Oh, very cool.
Very cool. So, did this character greet your guests at the entrance of your yard display, or was it kind of back in the scene a little bit?
Actually, this is not part of the haunt. This was just in front of the house. My haunt I did at a friend's house this past year, and so he traveled. He went from the haunt and then back to the house. But at the haunt, he was in one of the rooms.
Oh, very cool.
So Patricia Langston had a question. Do you have trick-or-treaters coming through your haunt? You said you had a party, but you have a haunt.
We do a private party haunt only.
So no trick-or-treaters?
No. It's a brand new neighborhood, and we have the only children in the neighborhood.
Okay.
Oh, God.
Oh, man. That's a bummer. I know your pain. I was the only kids in my neighborhood.
Okay, this is my current project. I thought I'd show what I was working on now. I'm trying to make a Medusa.
Oh, it looks pretty damn good, too.
Thank you. And it's also the same framework as the Scarecrow with the PVC pipe, great stuff over chicken wire, and just a regular foam wig head that I cut the jaw off and repositioned and made some teeth out of Sculpey.
Right, so that's insulation, that real flimsy insulation stuff. You got like running through wire. Is that what that is?
Yeah, well, I work for a beverage company, and there was a surplus of those insulations for pipes, so I ended up with a big bag full of them, and that's what led me to Medusa.
Nice.
So I got to do something with all of this. So might as well do Medusa.
Very cool.
So yes, you're right. It is wire through the insulation.
Chad Smith wants to know how many cans of great stuff did you go through so far on this?
So far, it's been probably about 6 or 7, and I think I just bought a bag of the Sika post hole foam. I'm gonna try that method. I think because I'm going through too much great stuff. I'm gonna go broke.
So did you plan ahead and put wheels on this? Is that what I see at the bottom?
Well, I also got that from the company I work for. There was
Ah,
a soda
jeez.
fountain used to sit on that. So when we picked the soda fountain up, I decided to go ahead and keep the wheelbase and build onto it.
That's gonna help you big time.
Oh, for
Yeah.
sure.
So is this is inside your maze? I'm assuming.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was probably the second and third props that I built. I can't really say I built and painted. Just baby dolls I picked up at a thrift store and threw a little paint on them.
Doug Cox would like to know, where do you find your inspiration for your characters and hot scenes from?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, of course, the biggest inspiration, I think, an inspiration to a lot of us would be Pumpkin Rot.
Of course.
He's who really got me started. And from there, Brad Goodspeed. Once I came across Brad's haunt, I just fell in love.
Brad.
Good speed.
So he's a big inspiration to me as well.
Yeah, he does some great sculpts, man.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Somebody plays disc golf.
Occasionally, yes.
Yes. That's a good stand too for your prop.
Yeah. It doubles. So this guy is just once again going back to Brad. One of the things that he said in one of his tutorials was how if someone is dying, their limbs are going to be stretched out. They're not just going to be standing like your regular pose and stay skeleton. So I took that and kind of ran with it and did a little pose that kind of stretched everything out to its limits. And it ended up looking a little more graceful than I really planned it to, but I went with it. It was okay.
So how did this, with its head sticking down like that, did you have this laying on the ground or no? Because I feel like the head would keep it propped up.
No, I had it propped up on
you
a
did?
half wall. Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
I had it hanging kind of upside down from a wall.
Courtney Rourke would like to know, do you work all year long on props for your hunt, or?
I usually take a break from probably about November until, let's say, mid-January. Take a little rest.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, but I do a little bit at a time. I'm always out in the garage trying to do something.
Much live in a
that's
warm
cool.
climate.
There's that disc golf basket again.
Right?
Yeah.
Multi-purpose, man.
I know.
I'm gonna have to get you one.
Yeah.
But yeah, that skull is just your basic plastic corpsing technique with the shrink wrap and heat gun, and then threw a little paint on it. That was one where my father-in-law had asked me if I would make something for him, so I threw that together right quick when he came to visit.
Did you use your own hair?
My own. There's no hair on that,
No.
so it does kind of match my head. So yeah, basically.
No, it does look like some hairs on it. Like,
Yeah. Right up in the top up here. It kind of does.
yeah. No, in the mouth part. Look at
Oh,
the
in the
mouth
mouth?
part.
Oh yeah.
Oh no, that was actually hot glue.
Ah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was hot glue.
Well, your father-in-law must have loved that head. That was
Oh
great.
yeah, thank you.
Wow.
Look at that rat.
I like him.
Did you corpse that?
Now we got hair here.
Yeah, there is hair on this one.
No, there's hair in this one.
That's his father-in-law's hair.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that basically the same corpsing technique, only with the added hair, and I just cut that off of a wig head, like a beautician's wig head.
No, that looks really good.
Yeah, I used spray adhesive to get it to stick. It was an absolute mess. I had hair stuck to my fingers for days.
Nice.
Hairy palms.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you, John. We're going to move over now to Sarah. So, Sarah, we have your first picture here. Ah!
Oh, wow.
The stress came on. The stress came on.
The
Is that you?
stress.
Nope, that's not me.
Did I pick the
I
wrong
wish
one?
it was me.
You're totally, no, you're totally bombing.
What? Did I mix up the two? There's
That
no
would be
way.
me.
Nope, that's her.
That's me.
What? These are the pictures we got. None of this is you?
Those two aren't. Those aren't. Nope,
Oh.
that one's not. That one's not. Keep going. Keep going.
Jose, what'd you send me?
Dude, I sent you emails, bro.
Emails on emails.
You
Oh,
mixed it
no.
up.
Nope, still not. There we go. That's me.
That's you?
That
Okay.
is me.
All right.
This is actually Audrey too, obviously. This was created using, the base is actually a steel frame. The top is made from a car topper.
What?
A car topper. That is a
What's
car
that?
topper. Like what you put, like the car things you put on top of your car, and then you put your luggage
The
in
top of a car? The
A
top of a car?
hard top, yeah.
Oh, okay. All right,
Like a
luggage.
cargo carrier, yeah.
it. Yeah, luggage thing.
Okay.
We individually made each of the teeth out of it's a foam clay that Crayola makes. There is actually a tongue. It's inside there. It had been raining really bad this past year, and the tongue was literally bending the entire thing down because the tongue is basically just a fun noodle, and then we wrapped it in another type of foam, and then on top of that we put they're like these little squares of fake flowers, and then on the end of the tongue we had these really cool looking fake flowers that look like tendrils, because we were doing Audrey too, but we wanted to do basically our version of it. And you can't really see it because it's dark inside the mouth, but even inside the mouth there's like even more flowers inside the mouth, but it looks like a textured mouth. But yeah, this thing is a monster.
Yeah, that's amazing.
If I was to have it in the room with me, I would not have any room. It is about as life size of an Audrey 2 as you can get.
Wow.
It has to be staked down with rebar. The guy that made the base for me actually put holes in, gave me a base that had holes in it. There is, I think, 5 or 6 pieces of rebar in the bottom of it to hold it down.
Wow.
Jeff Foster wants to know, how long did it take you to make this?
To make this, like I said, there was another guy that made there was another hunter that I know that made the base for me. I'm not sure how long it took him for that. Yeah, that's what it looks like at night, and there's the tongue. For the actual top part of it, we painted it green. It was black. That took, oh goodness, let me think here. That took a while because we had to do it in layers. Like about a week, I think, for the paint, and then the leaves and everything on their own. That really didn't take too long because we just hot glued those on there.
And then what are the lips made from, Bob?
The lips are made from the front ones are actually just the giant pool noodles, and then on the back half, those are actually smaller pool noodles. And then we actually kind of covered the back ones with additional foliage, so you couldn't tell that it was 2 different types.
Very cool.
The front ones are on there permanently now because it took 3 of us to get them on there.
Jeez.
It almost
So do you
looks
have a
like
lot of wind?
It almost looks like you could put someone in there.
Yeah, there is actually, I think there's a picture actually of when we had this in the haunted house 2 years ago, and my sister-in-law has her entire upper body inside of it.
There you go.
Jeez.
This is a gibbet cage that we made. This was one of the very first Pose and Stay skeletons I ever got. I literally wore him out until he broke. That's why he got corpsed. His arms are literally only attached by the corpsing. My dad and I actually made this. I do not even remember what this plastic was that we used. We went to the hardware store. We were like, "Hey, this looks good," and we bought it. So yeah, it's put together with some plastic. This plastic, I think it was edging, for inside the house. Cut out a circle of wood, attached it all together. It's attached with some screws at the points where it's the circle around with the plastic. The skeleton is pretty much in there permanently, unless I want to break them to get them out.
That wouldn't be hard to do.
Yeah, it really wouldn't be. And there's some plastic chain on the top hanging that hangs it to the tree with a caliper. He gets a lot of looks. I'm actually wanting to kind of go gooey him up a little bit because he's starting to kind of chip a little bit. The paint on him's kind of starting to chip.
You know what? You gotta put a wiper motor on that baby. Hey, get him moving a little bit in the cage.
Make it swing a little. Yeah.
I live by a lot of fields, and he's actually right front and center in my yard. And he's not in this picture, but there's actually a torso that hangs next to him, and those two get going. And one of my neighbors was laughing because there was barely any wind one night, and both of them are moving. And she said it freaked her out because she thought there was actually somebody in my yard moving. But they get moving pretty good. And that's just another picture. One year we did Twisted Fairy Tales, and my dad was sitting, or I actually have a ambulance gurney somebody gave me that we use as a bed, and I had, this guy was supposed to be Little Red Riding Hood, so there's the cape on him. And then my dad was sitting down next to him as the granny, the wolf granny. And basically it was the wolf granny had captured Little Red Riding Hood in the cage, and we had like a basket full of like rotten fruit down at the bottom of the cage. And, but we change out the lights every year depending on what we want it to look like. Then this year, since it was Little Red Riding Hood, we put a red light on it and just really made it look kind of really nasty.
That's awesome.
These guys are new. Well, the witch is not new. The two guys here on the end are, I go dumpster diving.
I do too. You're good. Be proud of it. Be proud of it.
I got the witch out of the dumpster, and then this guy here at the end in the red. I got the hands and the head. I actually had another home haunt that was a couple blocks away. Actually, they closed up and they donated all their stuff to me. So the guy in the middle was one of them that they donated. I had the mask, but the body and everything was theirs. So I decided they gave it to me, so I'm going to use it. So I put it all out there.
Courtney Jean Rourke would like to know, how do the kids react to your haunt?
The kids love it. And it's actually funny. The little kids love the stuff. It's the adults that we scared the ever-living crap out of. This is just this is actually just even the yard display. This isn't even in the haunt yet. But yeah, these guys are new. Now this is actually in the haunt. This year I did something, I was like, I want to do something kind of goofy and kind of off the wall. We did a haunted pet shop, and basically what it was what would a monster have as a pet? And I am a big fan of corny and hokey, like, B movies. And obviously, we found these giant dino heads, and we're like, let's put a Jurassic Park thing in there. So we did. And what we did, I have these little things that when you touch them, they growl. And that's what's actually underneath the heads. So I would go up to them. The people would walk through. They'd come around this corner. And I would touch the heads, and they would growl and shake the box. And that got so many people, it wasn't even funny. they weren't expecting. I mean, like everybody's seeing these at Walmart. I mean, they're no big, big deal. They weren't expecting them to do anything. Well, when they started growling, like people were like running away from these things. It was hilarious.
Well, now you know where to put your scare cam for next year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
So lots of questions about those props that was in the picture before. How did you keep those standing?
I put my props are actually made out of PVC pipe, and are these props here or the ones outside?
The ones that you were explaining with the masks on and
okay. All of my props are actually made out of PVC pipe, and then what I do is I put 2 pieces of rebar down, and I put the props down over the rebar.
Right.
Very cool. All right. Well, thank you, Sarah. We're going to move over to Lisa. Lisa will talk about your photos that you sent in. So here's your first photo. What's going on here? Is this something you made, or is this one of the props that you?
Not me. I had somebody design it. Well, I told him what I wanted, and he made it out of the crates or whatever's around.
Yeah.
And I just had that made because we would collect canned food, and that hole right there, they would drop the canned food into a trash bin that's in the bottom half. You can open the bottom half to take the trash bin out.
Oh, that's cool.
Made it easier for people to know where to put it. Because the little sign says "Feed me." That's where the canned food would go.
That's awesome. You should add a little animation to it, where like almost where you add air to it when they put the can in or their hand in.
Whoa,
all of a sudden,
whoa!
Big
We're
little blaster.
there.
Yeah, a little blaster. Yeah, yeah. Just scare them a little bit so it drops the can.
I wish, but yeah, we're limited here. So.
Yeah.
I actually had to sell that. It was heartbreaking because the guy who made it was really good at making that stuff, and I felt sad having to sell it. But lugging it was pretty heavy. Lugging it to here, I was already taking too much.
Hessian Manor says, Lisa, you have great lighting all year. What are you using?
Anything I can get my hands on.
Yeah.
A lot of LED lights. Actually, I use them all year round on my house too. So I change them all year round for each holiday, different color or projection in the window or whatever. But mainly use them for Halloween. That's what I got them originally for. It's just it keeps me entertained while my husband's on deployed or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
So
So have you ever had the challenge with moving all the time that say your yard is either too big or too small to where now you have to kind of
God, yes.
completely redo your ideas or whatever it might be?
San Diego,
Yeah.
North Carolina.
Yeah.
I was just like, wow, what am I gonna do? And I had like little bit of tombstones. I was almost embarrassed the first year. I was just like, I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed. A lot of lights. We need lots of lights to kind of throw the illusion that there's more going on than there really is. And that's when I really got into projections because it would just catches people's eyes and not focus so much what's not in the yard. But then the next year we kind of expanded. We bought the little picket fences we use in the garden. My husband tore it apart and made it all rickety looking and spray painted it and put it up, and people liked it. Okay, we can do this. That's all that mattered to me. They were happy.
It's good.
Wow.
Fog works. And that tombstone you see right there, it has a projection, which is kind of cool. It has a little arm that comes up, and people like that. Yeah.
Patricia Langston would like to know, what kind of projectors do you use?
I think it's Epson. I have all kinds of them. Whatever I can find that's at a decent price and has good illumination, because I had so many windows in, I was kind of on a budget. And the ones in the front yard, I got the like $50 ones. You don't have that real strong illumination, but it did the job. That's all that mattered. Right now, I only have one window with all these projections. So the window is like what's in that picture. It's the bottom half and then a moon shape at the top. So I have 2 projections in the room where one's on the bottom and one's at the top. So there's 2 different images going on.
Oh, cool.
Well, that's pretty cool.
More projections.
Oh, somebody's
And
breaking out through your siding.
Yeah,
You have a problem there.
yeah, I saw that. I'm guilty. I saw it online and I fell in love with it and thought, gosh, I can add something to the front of the house. And I had a broken skeleton and perfect. So that's what I did with it.
Huh, I didn't see that. Man, I'm on Haunter's Hangout all the time. I didn't see that. That's pretty cool.
Shame.
I like that. I know.
It is pretty cool.
Thanks.
Looks like it's busting out of the house.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is my I call him the bone collector. He's sitting on my the skeleton horse. Again, guilty. I saw somebody. I was originally thinking about doing it, but I was afraid to paint my horse, thinking I wouldn't like it. And I saw somebody actually did it, and I loved it. So I spray painted it black, and then put my skeleton, spray painted him black, dressed him up, put him on there, have all kinds of bones hanging off the sides of it, and I call him the bone collector. He's the one that's riding the horse with the broken head.
Right. She's like, I was so afraid to paint it, but I can snap the head off in a second.
I had no choice. It was like we were down to the last. I mean, we were down like the last 15 minutes. Get this thing on the trailer. Okay, snap, bam, go. Yeah, that was really,
man.
that was heartbreaking. But I jerry rigged it. You know, it's a lot of duct tape, bubble gum, and twist ties.
Bubble gum, huh? Bubble gums
Yeah.
are great.
That helmet bubble gets hard, bro. It's like, you can chew it.
Right. It's quick.
Oh, very cool. So is this in the very front of the yard display?
Well, yeah, in North Carolina. Yeah.
Oh, in North Carolina. Yeah.
Yeah, I used it again here in Kansas, and here in Kansas, you get a lot of people. I mean, a lot of people. Now, we don't do a haunt, which I would love because these houses I'm moving into, you can walk all the way around and do something awesome. But we don't live here long enough to build it that big in that way. So I just try to make do with what I got and then move on to the next place.
Right.
Very
Jeff,
cool.
That would
Jeff,
drive me
I would
crazy.
like to know, do you use actors in your haunt? No. Or do you dress up yourself, Lisa?
Me?
She don't even know who her neighbor is, man.
Right? No, actually, they met me. They were really nice because they liked our yard. But
Do you
this year
dress
I
up?
broke my. I would have this year, but I broke my arm, and I wasn't really into it this year. I did a little bit, but not much. No, my husband. I think I had him dress up as T-Rex in the costume one year, just to draw people's attention.
Gotcha.
Very nice.
One of the
All right.
costumes, yes.
Very cool. All right. Well, we're going to move over now to Chris. Chris, we're going to show your feet here that are hanging out. I don't know what's going on here.
Sure. So that's a workup when I was building the diver. That one was the giant squid. So I had the foot massager and I was working out the mechanism. The calf part of the legs, I actually did spray foam on cardboard cutouts and then sculpted the basic shape. Took some cheap feet, attached them to like 2x2s that go through the middle, and then borrowed the flippers from my neighbor.
Borrowed or kept them?
Nah, I give them back. they were nice. They were nice things. And unfortunately, I had all that stuff before because I lived in Florida and I sold it all. And then I'm like, damn, I need it again. But
What'd you make that? Is that pool noodles for the ankles?
no, those are actually like the real cheap feet. You can just get it most at any of the stores. I cut that bloody stub off the tops and filled it with some plastic bags and like some just shoved it down in there so it was on there real tight.
Oh,
And it actually held on pretty good. So I had like some stretchy black pants I pulled up to do the diving suit with, so it come up. You could still see the ankles.
Yeah, I was gonna say it looks pretty good.
Yeah, so it gave a decent shape to it by the time it was done.
Was this prop outside at all or no?
No, this was all in the back corner of the garage. The like everything from the thigh forward was actually underneath the squid with the tentacles coming out like around and between the legs. So the whole mech for the foot massager was all out of sight.
Nice, yeah, because I was gonna say if it was outside, I wanted to know how that cardboard held up around the thighs there.
Oh yeah, that wouldn't work that very well.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that was one of my. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say this photo I tried enhancing as best as I could, but it came out a little blurry. But
yeah, my camera at the time was pretty crappy. This was just a test shot of the jellyfish. I actually just hot glued them to the rafters above me in my basement, and then was trying them out with the lighting to see how everything was coming. But they've all got like the little balloon lights in them that you can get from like Party City or anywhere. I just put little holes in top of the jellyfish so I could insert them with the battery already turned on. Worked pretty good.
That's some serious hot gluing.
Oh yeah.
Scary Mary would like to know, what's your favorite hot glue gun?
Yeah, I knew that was coming up, so I brought it up here so I'd remember.
Lots of questions about your hot glue gun, what kind of glue sticks you use, all that.
There you go. I got it's a Sure Bonder. This is probably the third one I went through in the last couple of years. A lot of I get it at Joann's, but a lot of the basic brand they have I actually don't like. Triggers tend to like it starts to fall apart faster. The Sure Bonder has lasted longer for me. And then as far as glue, I knew also that was coming. So buy it by the box. It's a 5-pound box, so it's about 500 something sticks per box.
Wow.
And I think I went through probably about 1,800 to 2,000 sticks last year or so.
Damn,
man, holy shit! So like with this prop here, how many sticks do you think this one took?
Yeah, I don't know.
You mean you don't count every time you put one in?
Come on. Yeah. I mean, guessing, I'd say 50 to 60. I don't know, but if you buy the box, you get the coupon and you go to the store to buy it. It's like $18 for the box versus buying those little bags. It's a whole lot cheaper.
Do you like start off with a certain image that like cardboard under there, or you just started off from straight up?
This is straight up flat. Like I'll have an image that I want to build on, and I'll build out pieces, and then as I build the pieces out, start gluing them together to get the shape I'm looking for. I think this one in the middle, I may have. As I got it started, I started like stuffing it with leftover grocery bags just to give something to bulk it inside to hold the shape. But yeah, I just do flat pieces on that the pad in the back, and then just start working them out together.
Oh shit, that looks like a lot of work.
Yeah, I was gonna say even if you do something with like your tail there, if you did something you didn't like, what's nice about hot glue, I'm guessing, is that you could just basically melt it off and restart again.
Yeah, I've got a bucket. I've got a bucket on my counter that I just throw, the little leftovers and everything. I have not melted them yet, but yeah, I've got a bucket back there.
So this is painted. That was painted.
Yeah, that's just painted right on top of the hot glue with acrylics.
Right.
Yep, same thing. The eyes are just those little geodesic glass beads for planters or something. I just painted them with some metallic paint, and the whole thing actually it's like the shiny metallic paint.
So how many repairs do you have to do each year? Do they hold up pretty well, or?
Yeah, none of these I've repaired yet.
Wow.
This is your first year, right?
But yeah, that was the first year with those. Like the jellyfish, because the way I hung them up initially, it actually is in a glue and like the string right on top of it, some of the braided fishing line, so I can hang them. So I don't have to repair that. There's the holes for the lights on the top. If I ever wanted them solid, I could go back and patch those over. But I push those lights in, expecting them to be there, leave them disposable.
Chad Smith would like to know, what made you utilize hot glue as your preferred medium?
It worked for what I wanted to do the first time, so I just kind of ran with it. And I was able to do the different textures. Like, it's hard to see, but the back half of the fish for the scaling actually just do like little tiny movements, and you get like a semblance of what a fish scale skin would look like. And if you do the front half with the jaws, I would let it get really hot in the gun before I would start to spread that out, and that way you could get a little bit smoother for the bone structure.
Oh, that's crazy.
Very cool.
This is the underside of my vampire squid. Again, the tentacles are all like free-handed out in all the little pieces. I just make those in rows on the mat, and then go back and individually glue them on. The rest of it is all actually trash bag that I cut into shape and then would glue to each of the different tentacles as I went around, and then just kind of go back and cover over it so that it blend in well.
Man, how long? Oh man, that's so cool.
This one took forever. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
That's it. Yeah, the top of the head is actually one of those big Tide laundry detergent containers. I just built right on top of that, and then built out the structure.
Is that a human you're making out of hot glue back there too, or?
No, that's actually I was doing a mermaid. I never got to finish, but so it's a mannequin with the like tape arm and a top on it, and then from the waist down, I did a frame with hangers and duct tape, and then I put the hot glue scales over it. So it is actually 3/4 of it is covered in glue now. But yeah, I never actually finished it. So the top half is still just mannequin and tape.
Wow.
Just ran out of time.
So do you have any other props planned for this year in regards to the underwater theme?
No, I'm just changing it up. This year I'm going to do something that's kind of like the Nightmare at the Museum theme. I'm thinking more like collectibles and curiosities, but I want to have like a Mayan room, a room with like headhunters, voodoo, an Egyptian room, and then somehow work it into where you eventually get into like haunted dolls and everything. So almost like just a collection of either haunted stuff or like religions that had a lot of mysticism to them, to where maybe there's so much activity going on that it's actually started converting the rooms from the museum into the locations that they would have existed.
Oh, very cool.
So yeah, I want to get into more set type stuff because I've always done a lot of the props, but obviously the sets take a long time too. So
Right.
we'll see how far it goes.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Chris.
Sure.
All right, we're gonna bring it back up to John. So John, we have some more pictures to show. We have a bird, looks like.
Yes, that is my crow.
Crow. Whoops. Oh, well, it's a bird too.
Yeah. Falls under both categories. Same old plastic corpsing technique, heat gun and shrink wrap, and just your cheap acrylic Walmart paint for the paint job on it.
Yeah, you really got that corpsing down, man.
I know.
That's a good place to start. Like I said, I'm just beginning with haunting, so I'm trying to figure it all out.
Yeah, looks really good.
Thank you. And this guy was a scarecrow, but he was only the torso up. The rest of it was a PVC pipe that I made to look like a stick, and just set that over top of rebar in the ground to hold him up. Kathy, you were asking about the front of the haunt before. This is what was at the front of the haunt.
Okay.
And
Courtney Jean Rourke would like to know, what kind of lights do you use?
pretty much just a little bit of everything. That's one thing that I really need some improvement on is my lighting as far as the haunt goes. That was the feedback I got from it, was the lighting could have been a little better because there was a lot of the props that kind of went unseen. But to be fair, I was running everything off of one power outlet. So I didn't want to go too crazy.
Jeez. Got to find another power outlet in that house somewhere.
Go crazy, man. Go crazy.
Yeah. Just if not, go to your neighbor. I'm sure they'll be nice.
Right.
Take an
Hey,
extension cord right
Sneak
outside.
it. Hey,
Yeah.
they never check the backyard, bro. They
Yeah.
never check the backyard. Hook up there.
And So this guy is a replica of the last picture that someone had gone through the haunt and really liked the prop that I did before, the scarecrow, and asked if I could do a desktop version. So this is the desktop version of that guy. It was a foggy morning one morning, thought it was perfect time to take the picture. But yeah, that's hot glue for the saliva, and just glued some burlap on a tiny little skull and put it on a stick and bulked him up a little bit.
Oh, very
Looks like you're
cool.
getting into prop making now. Oh boy. We'll see you at MHC in like probably 3 years or 2 years.
I wish it was this year.
Yeah.
So do you plan on opening to the public eventually? There was a question about that. I forget who it was, but
I'm kind of bouncing the idea around right now. I think I'll probably need a few more years to to get a feel for it before I jump in full force.
So how are your neighbors with everything? Considering it's all new.
Well, as far as I could tell, I was the only one that really decorated for Halloween in our neighborhood. But even this year, I really didn't decorate too strong because I was focusing on the haunt, which was at my friend's house, probably about a 20-minute drive away. So I spent a lot of time away from the house and didn't get to decorate the house quite like I would like to have.
Oh, that's right. I forgot you.
Yeah.
Somewhere else.
Yeah, we'd like to do it at the house, but my backyard is a pretty steep hill. It's not going to work out for a haunt.
That's okay. It looks like you got a garage here, right?
I do have a garage, yes. It's you can barely walk through it right now from all the haunted house stuff in here.
I don't want any excuses. I want a home haunt.
That's right. Right.
Yeah.
I'll work on it. Tell my wife she's listening.
Yep. I'm sorry. Don't get mad at me.
It's Phil's fault. It's always Phil's fault. Okay, so this guy was one of the first masks that I attempted to create. It's not really a wearable mask. It's more of for display, I guess. But it was, I just took tin foil and made a mold of my head and then built on top of that with packaging tape, like the masking tape, and kind of used that to sculpt with a little bit and put the rubber spray on top of that to kind of weatherproof it.
Doug Cox would like to know, do you dress up as character? I mean, for your private party, do your guests dress up too, or?
Oh yes, we do have a costume party, so we prefer everyone to dress, but you know how it is. Not everybody's on board.
Bastards. It's a Halloween party, man.
Yeah, get with it.
Awesome. Well, thank you, John. We're going to move over now to Sarah. Sarah, we have what looks like a medical scene with a clown, right?
Yeah. This is a fun scene, actually. This was the very first year I was open as a haunted house. Those are actually real x-rays in the background as well. What this was, we were aiming for like obviously a mad doctor. We were supposed to have like a Frankenstein character, and unfortunately he got injured. So one of my friends stepped up and she got on the gurney. This is like a serial killer type mask that she had. And this is what my other friend is holding here is one of the like injector needles for meat. And we took the tip of it off, and then when people were walking in, she made it look like she was actually stabbing my friend that was on the gurney, and she was just barely missing her by getting in between her arm and her, like basically right into her armpit. But we had my doctor that I have, my actual doctor, they were getting ready to move offices, and there's a lot of stuff that they had to like throw out that they couldn't use anymore. So that is an actual IV bag that we put slime into. They gave us the x-rays. You can't see them because they're off camera, but there's actual like vials, like what they put your blood into. So they gave us a lot of actual like real medical stuff that we used. But yeah, there was I didn't realize that they were actually like making it look like they were stabbing each other until people came running out of the of the garage. I was like, what's going on in there? And I walked in and they didn't realize it was me coming in, and all I hear is ha, and just stabs her, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm like, this is supposed to be for families. And but the funny thing was, like, the kids loved it. It was the parents that were running out, but it was fun. It was a very fun and very successful first year. People still talk about it.
That's in your garage, right?
This is actually in my garage, yeah. And it's basically a one-room haunt, but what we typically try to do is we'll have stuff so that they have to walk around in the garage. But this was the first year, so we made it just a one-room thing.
Oh, okay. So what's that? What do you got going on? Is that like curtain rods? I mean, just PVC pipe? What is that? The wall?
It's just a big pipe that I have up there actually all year round, because when I'm not using this as a haunt, all of my costumes hang there. What's behind that is actually all of the containers most of the containers that my Halloween stuff is in. Plus any sound effects that I have. I have a boom box and all that my sound effects are in. And then it's just a burlap curtain. It's basically a drop cloth from painting. And we decorated up. We just took handprints, blade handprints. It's kind of hard to tell. There actually is supposed to be green. If there's green paint on there, that kind of looks like it's been moldy. And
do you use audio?
I'm sorry.
Do you use audio music?
We do. We've used audio. We do sound effects just to put up what we're doing. This was from this past year. Again, part of the pet shop. These are actual real bones that I have. I do bone cleaning. What was really cool about this is a dog cage that was given to us specifically for this. And then inside the cage, I had a hidden speaker that played How Much Is That Doggy in the Window? And then it had barking sounds as well. By the end of the night, everybody was tired of that song. But yeah, so we had the dogs all holding everything. This is one of the first characters I ever made. This is Igor. And my dad and I actually made this coffin. This is a pallet coffin. It's seen a little bit better days. It's starting to come apart now. But it's kind of hard to tell in here, but he actually has green paint on him, and he actually glows.
I thought he kind of was glowing.
Yeah, he does. I sprayed him down with some green paint so he glows, but he's kind of like my gravedigger kind of character. Unfortunately, he no longer has that head. That head fell apart this past year, so he'll be getting a new head.
Damn it.
This is just the facade. My dad made this facade for me a couple years ago. Before then, we were just using basically a giant curtain. And every year, depending on what the theme is, this year, of course, it was Mombie's Pet Shop. Before that, it was Mombie's Flower Shop. This year, we'll change out. We change it out depending on what it is. We just get into letters, and they're just stickers. That's all they are, basically. But
So
that's the entrance and the exit.
That's what I was just going to ask, yeah. So do you have to let groups in one at a time then, I'm guessing?
Yeah, we'll let about 3 or 4 people in at a time. We have to do, she's not in this picture because this was before we actually had people coming in, but we actually do have a girl that stands here at the door and lets people in, lets them out. And then one thing that we added this year, we have lights that go around it.
Holy shit, that's a lot of actors for one garage.
That actually wasn't mine.
Yeah, I don't think that was hers. That was where the photos got. That was where the photos got mixed in. That's why I moved back.
We do have a lot of actors though, but
I have a question about your actors. Who, from Mark Locke, who makes your costumes for all your actors?
a lot of our actors either make their own, or we do also have actors that purchase their own. Because some of our actors have special needs, I let them pick, purchase, or do their own costuming. I also do have actors that I work with at a professional haunt, so we already have our costumes as well.
Are you showing a picture of? Did you send a picture of your costume?
I think I'm in there somewhere.
There's a lot of talk about it already. Like they're all hoping you show it.
Yeah.
I believe there's a picture of Mombie in there somewhere.
Okay, well we'll get to it.
Gosh. Yeah, we'll get to it in the next
No,
round.
no hurry, no hurry.
No rush.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll move over now to Lisa. We got another picture of your
Broken neck.
Yeah, bro. Broken neck.
That's before I broke it. That's all in North Carolina.
I like the full moon. Well, I think it's a full moon in the background there.
It is.
Yeah.
Do you have music in your haunt too, Lisa?
Excuse me?
Do you have music? Do you play music?
Yes, I do. I have speakers outside. I have it up all month, because I just like to do that. But on Halloween night, we pull out the sound and the fog and everything. Yeah.
Is that skull there part of the horse, or is that like something like a stable or something? I mean, something that the horse is tied to or something.
On the side of it, you're talking
Yeah.
about?
Yeah, the
Yeah,
skull.
it was just a bunch. No, there's a bunch of loose bones hanging there. That's why I called him the bone collector.
Oh, it's just hanging on the horse. Okay.
Yeah, and the horse has I put a wig on him for the mane and the tail, and
Yeah. Gotcha.
Ooh.
again, North Carolina.
You got like a
Something
nice
Kansas,
layer.
right?
You got like a nice layer of fog. Do you use like an ice?
Yeah, we
Chiller?
actually got a fog machine that you can put ice in it. It was really cheap, but it works. My husband is like, that's the only time he's really excited about the Halloween. He wants to do the fog and the sounds. He's really into that. So he's very particular about his fog. So I'm like, hey, whatever, go at it, have a good time.
I could see it. Did a nice job, man. This is
Yeah,
laying. Very nice.
For the
he disciplines
candles
that fog.
in this picture, did you have to individually wire these, or are these all just that you flip the switch at the end of the night and they turn off?
Actually, yeah, they're just the little battery LED candles that I bought online, and they have remotes, so they're on timers.
What?
It was
They
great.
have remotes?
Yeah.
I gotta
All of
find
them. I
these.
just go around, turn them on, and then they turn off after 8 hours, or however I set it.
Wow.
Nice.
I gotta find those.
Doug Cox would like to know, did you carve those headstones? Are you into making them yourself?
God, I wish I could say. I made it. It's not in this picture. I made one in the and then that one right there with the projection to the right. That's just a cutout, and the projection makes it look like it was carved. So no, I buy them.
Damn, she lied. I mean, I read that shit.
Nothing wrong with that.
I'm sorry, guys.
Oh,
What's
no,
going
I'm
on here in the
just
back?
teasing you.
Is that a monster or like a tombstone?
That is actually like one of those Home Depot half coffins popping. You just. put
Oh,
on the
okay.
ground.
Yeah. Now I see it. Yep.
Yeah. Home Depot, guilty.
Home Depot's been doing very well though lately.
Right.
Yeah, they've been stepping it up.
Oh
I
yeah.
used to make things many years ago, but yeah, like I said, I can't really get into it, and it gets really heartbreaking when people break the stuff and lose it.
Yep.
Again, North Carolina. There's a summer in there, right?
Man, you had a perfect garage right there. Oh, look
I
at
know.
that. In and out.
Oh, big. Yeah. You can put about 4 rooms in there.
Now,
Yeah.
if I live there permanently, absolutely, I agree.
Corinne Singer wants to know, who does your photos? Do you take your own pictures?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Can you come take mine?
Oh, yeah, that's the tombstone I made. And then that coffin there is what I bought that from, what was it, Home Spirit Store many years back, but it kept breaking apart. So I just took the lid of it and then the sides, cut it down and just made it look like it's coming halfway out of the ground. Made some
Oh,
use
that's
out
good.
of it.
Yeah. Is
I
that got a
didn't have the heart to
projection?
throw it away. No, I put a, like wax paper in there and a light. That
Oh,
what do
okay.
you call it? The kaleidoscope light. But there's projection in the window. Yes.
And what's behind the tombstone up there? This guy.
Yeah, I know he's not lit very well. Shame on me. He was just like a mummy guy that's headless, and he's holding his head.
Oh, okay.
I
Oh,
don't
yeah.
think we
Okay. I see
completed the
that
lighting
now.
that night.
Yeah.
Debbie Wright would like to know, do you have problems with weather at all?
Oh God! One year in North Carolina, hurricane came. We had to take everything down, put it away. Oh my God, that was so devastating. And then we had to put it all back up again. That was yeah, weather. Yes.
It's like having 2 Halloweens.
Can I say? But that
Yep.
last picture you showed, flash one up, that was my Kansas one.
Okay. Yeah, we'll get back to that one right when we come back to for the last 5. But we'll move over now to Chris. Chris, we will show your seahorses.
Make it up.
Oh, I want to
Uh-oh.
take
Uh-oh.
Or not.
There's a big spinning circle on my screen. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Malfunction.
He broke it.
Malfunction.
Chris is
Filter.
gonna train wreck you again.
That's
Yeah.
all right.
Chris, why don't you talk about your seahorses right now?
Hey. Well, the seahorses that you can't see, yeah.
Yeah.
They're
Well,
actually Oriental
Pass-
Trading Company.
Yes.
Yeah, there were some cheap ones from Oriental Trading Company that I ended up just taking and redoing. Making them darker.
All right.
It's a lot better when you can see them. How about this crystal skull that I'm working on out of glue? There you go.
There you go. You do that. I got to exit and I'll come right back.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, this is one of the things I'm working on now for the Mayan, is they have all those, theories with the crystal skulls down there. So I just took one of my other plastic skulls and coated it with the hot glue. I got working on the jaw still, but yeah, works pretty good. Just built it.
Good. How long does it take you to do something like that?
I did this last night, probably about an hour or so.
Wow.
Holy shit, that ain't that long.
Yeah, so I'm still working on the job, but yeah, I did like all this through the front, left the back split open so I could pull it off, then flipped the skull over, did the back side, and then just patched it all together, holding it up.
I had a question from Jeff Foster. How do you store your glue props so they don't melt and change shape?
I have a nice cold basement, just like Diablo.
Mhm.
So they're just sitting in bins on shelves in a nice cold basement.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, there they are.
I'm in here double, I think. Well,
Yeah.
whatever.
That's
Well, yeah.
okay.
All right.
Seahorses.
But yeah, so the bottom is what it came. Yeah, what they come like. There's some seed pack they have. And I found these at the thrift store. So then I took the glue, overlaid them to give them some extra texture, and the extra fin, and did a paint job on them. I actually had these hooked to I had 3 of these hooked to like the Flying Crank Ghost kind of setup, and so that they were just undulating in the background in front of the seaweed.
Oh, that's cool.
Courtney Rourke would like to know, what kind of paint do you use for the glue props? Is there anything special?
So far, no. I'm just using your basic craft paint from like Michael's or Joann's. And some of the like on the earlier one, the vampire squid, it does not work well if you use it on plastic bags. Just because it's brittle and the bags move too much. By the end of the hunt, it was starting to flake off real bad. So I ended up not being able to like save that part. So this one is, sorry?
I was just gonna say, did you make dolls with the hot glue too?
Yeah, this one I made for a contest, and it's actually all again, it's bunched up plastic grocery bags that I like zip tied to bunch them for the bases and for the arms, and then I went back and overlaid the whole thing with the glue. just to get the feel that I wanted. And same on the top, I just actually cut the plastic bags to get the face shape in, and then, you know, went back to reinforce it with the glue as well.
That's really cool.
It does look good.
Nice and cheap. Yeah, so these are the unfortunate souls from Ursula's cave. One of these in the cave that I had in my haunt. These are actually built on top of like applesauce cups, and then built the structure out. And made the faces flat first, and then just start layering over and over to get that shape for the back of the head for the curvature.
Wow.
Wow. I was going to say, it looked like somebody's really interested in this bottom one, and then I realized it's just a pop head.
Couldn't take her out. It's like that pizza commercial where they slam their heads on the table.
Yeah. Wow, look at that.
I just noticed that.
I had never noticed that, and all the time I looked at that picture either. So I wanted an undersea vent to go along with the theme. This is actually chicken wire frame over top of a tomato cage. Give it some little extra bulk on the sides. Paper mache over top of that, and then added the extra detail with great stuff. Then just spray painted and black washed it all down. I took an old vacuum hose, like a large vacuum hose, ran that up through the cage, and just wired it to the top so I could run my fog right through it. So it came out pretty good. I actually went back and added like the little shrimp and everything all around the base of it as well later on.
Oh, this is cool.
Yeah, so that's kind of like both before and after how I built that coral wall. And so on the right, all I did was take these like 2x2 sheets of foam, just break them over a trash can in all kind of odds and end pieces. I actually have it's leftover pieces of a jacuzzi top, so it's like the 3-inch thick foam behind that, and I just used barbecue skewers straight through these pieces to hold them into the wall, and then went back and started spray painting them, adding extra pieces that I'd made from great stuff or sculpted using like a hot wire cutter.
It's really creative.
Was that all UV paint, or was it kind of just a normal paint in regards to the
It's a spray paint. Some of it's like the fluorescent colors that they sell for like the warnings, the bright orange and yellow like caution paints. I used black, the purple. I've got some just straight regular red paint that I mixed in there with it as well. And you can see like up on that one top corner, you can kind of see one of my eels sticking his head through there. But I tried to insert like creatures throughout the wall.
Yeah, I guess it looks pretty cool. I see.
And that's some kind of thing. It was kind of based on the seahorses, but I wanted it to be more like a sea dragon rather than the seahorse. It's a half torso mannequin for the base, and then I just kind of wrapped plastic bags together, taped them on to get the ribbing for the whole torso. The arms are actually built up with plastic bags again on the shoulder area. And then the arms and the fingers themselves are all pieces of limbs that I got out of the backyard. And honestly, they're hot glued together too. There's so much glue on there, it just keeps them together.
I love the texture of like the skin, or like even on the face. It makes me, or reminds me of like a wolf. Like I feel like if you made a wolf out of hot glue, you wouldn't even have to do anything to it. It'd come out looking really good.
That might be a good idea, because actually about the only thing I have left off of this as that stands is the arms, and I have the head. So I could actually maybe repurpose the head someday that way.
Yeah.
Good idea.
Now, is this the mermaid in the back here?
Yeah, that's what I was talking about like later on. You saw it with the duct tape. That's actually when I started adding the scales to the torso. Yeah, those are all individually made. I drew out the patterns that I wanted for like 3 different size scales, and I put them underneath the silicone mat, so I can just trace them out with the hot glue gun and fill them in. And I just sit there and make them in rows.
Wow.
And
That's
then
awesome.
you can like pull them off in strips of like 5 together. So when I go to glue them on, I'm not having to individually glue them one by one.
Man, I wish I had everybody's patience. I just don't.
I know. I know.
But I have so much patience, I didn't finish it, so I don't know how well that works. Like, it's still sitting there the same way it does now. So.
Awesome.
But I
All right.
I might try and reincorporate it this year as like a abandoned mermaid in the museum, like in a decrepit tank or something. So we'll see.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
There you go.
All right. Well, thank you, Chris. We'll come back to you one more time at the end here. We'll come back to John. John, we have your, I think it looks like a clown.
Yes,
Clowning around.
it is a clown. The mask is made in the same way that I did the demon, with the backing tape and a little bit of paper mache. And
Is this a prop or is this an actor?
it's a prop.
Oh, I love the stance, man.
Yeah, I know. And like with the backlighting.
It's funny how I did that. I had my oldest son lay down on a cardboard box, and I traced him in that position and cut that out. So there's actually not a prop body; it's just cardboard cutout.
Wow.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's smart. Jeez. Haunting on a budget. Look at
Yes,
that.
exactly.
It looks good too.
We've been working too hard.
Very cool.
And that's just an in-progress version of the masking tape that I'm talking about. Paper mache / masking tape.
So what do you do to seal them in the end, or you don't?
Yes, I've used the rubber spray, the spray rubber that's in a can.
Yep.
So I've used that, and it seems to work out pretty well. And this,
Ghostbusters. Who are you gonna call? Ghostbusters.
yes, my son, ever since he was about 1 year old, has been the hugest Ghostbusters fan. So I decided for one of my first props was to build him a Slimer. So that's about probably 95% foam spray.
Oh, that looks really good. I thought you bought it.
Oh no. Now we did buy the inflatable. I didn't build that.
Right.
But yeah,
You made that so good it's floating in the air, unless there's like a stand that I don't see.
No, there's a fishing line hanging from the light.
Okay.
And then the tongue on him I made out of silicone. I found a tutorial where you can actually mold silicone if you drop it down in soapy water, so it doesn't stick to your hands. So I molded the tongue out of silicone.
He looks real happy too.
Yeah,
he's pretty excited. Yes,
that's awesome.
He's a future haunter for sure. He loves it.
That's cool. So cool.
This was my character for last year's haunt. The Scarecrow, the Harvester, and this was my wife. And she was the Harvester's wife, but she was in a coffin, so she popped up and scared people from the coffin.
Yeah, very cool.
I love the mask. That's so
Thank
cool.
you. Yeah, I made that.
Really?
You made that too?
Yes. Yeah, there should be a picture later on showing it, a little better shot of it. But yeah, I made that.
How'd you go about making that? Like, how'd you get that shape?
That was I used a wig head and kind of made measurements of my own head and bulked it out with tape, and then used a sock mask with silicone, just like the silicone cock, on top of that, and then the burlap bag on top of that, and then shaped it the way I kind of wanted it while it was still curing. And then used a little stitching and stuff for the mouth and a couple other places there.
Did that get hot at all?
Did it get hot? Yeah. Yes,
mask.
it was very hot.
Yeah.
Very hot.
Yeah.
That was the first wearable mask I ever made, and I had a lot to learn there because I didn't make the mouth hole big enough. I didn't make any ear holes. I couldn't hear anything. I could barely breathe.
Oh, Jesus.
I had a lot to learn. Okay, I included this picture because it has a funny story behind it. Probably about 50% or more of my haunt I bought from my dentist. I just happened to find out that he used to haunt and was getting out of haunting, so lucky me. And he made this electric chair, and it has a sander, a belt sander underneath. So when you flip the switch, it turns the sander on and really vibrates the chair pretty good. And the story he told me about it was, you'll notice when guys sit in the electric chair, they're quick to jump up and run out of it. But when girls sit in it, they tend to ease back into it a little bit. So I thought that was a good story. That's the reason I included that.
Nice.
This is the fireplace I made. I made that out of the foam shipping blocks that you get from Tractor Supply. So I just used the spray foam to hold those together, and then used that same carving tool that I don't know the name of to carve the lines into it, and then painted it.
Yeah, looks good.
And then as far as the fire goes, it's great stuff over top of a Vicks vapor machine, like a vapor rub machine, and with a fire and ice light behind it. This was my first ever prop that I ever built. He was made out of fallen tree limbs and spare 2x4s, and just threw some black bed sheets over the top of it. So that was pretty much before I got to any of the tutorials. I was just trying to figure it out.
Oh, that looks pretty damn good for your first prop.
Oh, thanks.
Oh yeah, especially making it out of tree branches.
Yeah, well, the hand, you can see the hand, which would be his left hand, is that was made out of tree limbs also. And that's just a close-up of the clown mask, so you can kind of get a better look at it.
Wow.
Yeah. Those were that same wig head that I cut the hair for the rat. I cut the eyes out of it and then painted those up and used those for his eyes.
Oh, I was going to say, it looked kind of creepy.
Yeah.
I thought it was someone actually in there.
This was the scarecrow in progress. So just kind of give you an idea of the progress of it, the process.
Very cool. All right. Well, thank you, John. I don't know if Kathy, you have any other last questions or not, but it was an amazing haunt there. Love all the prop building you have. Great talent.
I know. It does everything on the cheat, too.
Yeah.
My kind of haunting.
Right.
Only way to do it.
Yes.
Right.
Oh, yeah. All right, Sarah, we're coming back to you now.
Okay.
You got to tell me what photo is yours, all right?
Okay, that's
So,
fine.
no.
Nope.
No.
Yes.
Okay. There we go. Now we're good.
So this is actually my zombie groundbreaker. This was in the process of making him. He actually sits in the front corner of my yard. He's one of the very first guys you see when you walk up. Pretty simple. This is just a spirit head that I've had for years. Basic PVC frame. He doesn't have arms in this picture. I actually made his arms differently than how I normally do. Yep, there we go. There's a good picture. He originally had just kind of these flimsy fake arms you get from the dollar store, and they weren't working. So I bought these from, I think it was Michael's, and they had like the fake fabric. They were actually meant for hanging down. Took the fabric off, took the heat gun, melted them to the PVC pipe, and attached them with the heat gun, and then I took PVC pipe glue and just slathered them on there. Haven't came off since. This here is, that's all my actors that work. They work in the yard, they work in the haunt. I'm back there way in the back. But this was all my actors from this past year that worked. We take a group photo every year. I try to anyways. But we have friendly characters, and then we have the scary characters.
That clown looked pretty creepy, just sitting there.
Yeah. that guy, yeah, that's Bananas. Yeah, he's a creepy guy.
Bananas.
The pro haunt that I work with, every year they loan us their hearse. It lights up. It's got a siren on it. It's great for getting everybody's attention. You can hear that thing for blocks. So they loan that to us so we can get in there and play with it and get the siren going and just bring attention to the haunt.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's free advertising for them too.
All right.
This was something that we started doing this year. We actually made way too much stuff 2 years ago we did Little Shop of Horrors, which is why we had Audrey too. So we started selling some of the props that we made. And then all of the proceeds from the ones that we sold went directly into the donation bin for the Autism Association. So yeah, that's something we started doing. The problem is I don't have any more room to store all this stuff. So that's what we did. This is just the inside from this year. What we did, we broke things down into different sections. So this was the bird section. Of course, obviously we had birds in cages. We had the vultures, owls, crows. We had the skeleton versions, and then up on the wall, it's kind of hard to see them. We actually had ones that had feathers in them as well. This is also some of the lighting that I had. I've got flame lights in there as well. I tend to have minimal lighting on the inside because I also have two big fire and ice lights that I can change the colors on that tend to light it up pretty well too.
So is this in the one-room garage too?
This is all in one room, yeah.
Oh shit! Damn.
This was from when we did Little House of Horror or Little Shop of Horrors. We had Audrey in the corner, Audrey 2 and Audrey. What we did with her, with the costuming we did with her, we actually had little mini versions of Audrey coming out of her. What our version of it was, the plants had completely taken over the haunt. So we had vines and everything just completely hanging over and out of the haunt. They were even coming out of the facade. And then, of course, to incorporate her, we had vines all over her. And what she did was as soon as people walked in, she would just barely touch Audrey and it would move the entire time they were in there.
Man, that's a lot of greenery too.
Yeah. And then, of course, here's her getting into Audrey.
Timothy Meadows would like to know, where did you purchase all those vines and greenery?
Some of them were donated to us, garage sales, Goodwill, Salvation Army, anywhere we could find them. This was just kind of a goofy picture we took. This is actually my mom. My brother in the middle, he actually got out of costume before we could take the picture. And then that's me and my costume on the left there.
Wow.
This was one of the first, I think this was the second year we were open.
Okay, talk about this costume a little bit.
I actually make my own costumes. The only thing I did not make was the prosthetic on my face and then the chest piece. I actually don't wear the chest piece anymore because it fell apart. But I make my own costumes. I also didn't make the hat. That's from Grim Stitch. But yeah, I make my own costumes. I distress them. I have my own weird ways of distressing. I take knives to them. I have a little shredder tool. I've been known since I am a zombie, when I work at the Pro Haunt, I have actually gone out in the pasture and rolled around in the pasture so that I stink.
Oh man!
I do a little bit of everything.
Taking it to the next level.
I do, yeah. I've used the sprays from Froggy's Fog, but yeah, I use permablood, permagrime, a little bit of everything on those costumes. I make all my costumes. So
Very cool, awesome. Well, thank you, Sarah. Great work.
no problem.
Amazing haunt.
Thank
So now we're going to come over to Lisa. We'll show the art display.
Sorry if I end up just getting them running immediately. We're in the middle of a wicked thunderstorm right now, hail falling everywhere, and I'm waiting for the tornado warning sirens to go off.
Oh no. Jeez.
Kansas, what can you expect?
Oh man.
It's headed my way, so I understand.
Oh, it's wicked right now. Oh. Yeah, this is Kansas. That's Kansas picture.
Wow. Oh, what's going on with the
It's just
skeleton guy? Is he? Oh, he's hanging around the tree. Okay, I see now.
Did you make your own fence here?
well, I mean, technically no. We just bought one of those little, the little picket fences at the garden center, and my husband tore it all apart. We painted it gray so that the light reflects off it better, and he
Well,
put it together kind
that's
of
making it.
rickety looking. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's all rickety. But that's just the display.
It's great.
Simple.
Wow.
Something beautiful about your lighting. Lots to talk
thanks.
about that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I see the struggle you have though with each year. Like you went from the one in, like you said, North Carolina with tons of space, and then
Yep.
to Kansas, you got just your small little front yard there.
Yep. Yeah, it is. It's, you never know what, that's why I can't really get in. There's so much I would want to do, but I have to rein myself back. Like, nope, can't do it. Not until we know, what's going on.
Yep.
And I'm thinking I'm going to have to, like the fence, because we had so much of it from North Carolina, and this year we had too much of it. And it's like, I don't think I want it for next year. I think I might end up donating it before we move.
Nah, don't get rid of your fence. You're going to be sorry. You're like, damn, I wish I had my fence.
It's believe me, as much stuff as we have to lug, it's like it's like if he can get rid of his military stuff, then we'll take it. But
Yeah, well, maybe he'll retire early, and then you'll settle down and do a home.
he won't. He wants to finish out, so we got many years left. I'm hoping to buy a house where he can go on. I just want a house so I can do my haunt.
Nice.
I'm happy if I do my haunt. That's the only time I says, you could be gone all year, but just be around for October. I need the help. I really do.
Right.
So there's that pop-up coffin you asked about earlier. It's
Mm.
heavy. And there's put one of the little tiny skeletons on it. Just kind of enhance it.
And you've got skeletons, a pile of skeletons back there,
Well, it looks like it, right? But no.
right?
What it
Nice.
is just this. There was this it was like a bone pile of a picture. It's one of those cheap Halloween things you put up against your window, and I cut it out, put it on styrofoam, and then I put all these loose bones in front of it to make it look like a big pile. Again, gotta make
That's
it look like it.
awesome. It does
Much
Yeah,
good.
that
fun.
works.
Yeah.
It's
Okay,
the illusion.
hey, let's put that in my notes.
It was cheap,
Right,
and quick,
Sure.
and it fills in that space too,
Right.
right.
And there's
Something in
my
the
horse.
background.
And you can't even see that, no twist ties. Can you see them? No.
Wow.
See,
Worked out
it's
so well.
rigged. And in the back window, you see on the very top window, the half moon shape. Oh my God, this lightning's freaking me out. Anyway, on the top is ghost spirits flying. And on the bottom half window, you'll see, well, I sent video. I don't know if you guys can do that. But on the bottom half, there's skeletons that, paw at the window. And
Nice.
yeah.
All right, let's see. We have the video next. Let's see if it plays. This will be my first time trying.
Oh, you're welcome.
Let's see. Let's see.
For the first time on Hunters.
Here we go.
Hangout.
Haunters Hangout.
Oh my
Oh.
God.
Look at this. It works. Woo!
Kinda. It's
Is it a little
really
choppy? Whoa, it's
There,
like
see, there's a projection. Yeah,
Oh,
I got audio like crazy in my ears right now.
None here,
Yeah.
it's
which
really
is good.
choppy.
Which is good though.
Yeah.
And then in the entryway there, it's sort of plain. So I just said, slap the web up there and put lighting on it. And it worked. Web catches the light really nicely. It fills in the space.
Oh, see, Phil, you can do video now. Make everybody happy.
Yeah, exactly. Just take your videos from YouTube and share them on here.
Right.
Right?
No,
That's awesome. Hey,
Yeah.
look at
Oh,
that.
thanks.
There's a
Not too
first
bad
try.
for, yeah, not too bad for home or store bought stuff. Yeah.
No, that looks good. Amazing on there.
Mhm.
It's too bad I'm so far away.
Right. Yeah, it wouldn't be worth the drive yet. One day, maybe one day.
Yeah. How big of a garage you have in that? I can't tell in that picture, but is that
We
a
have a
big garage
three-car
too?
garage here, but it's
What?
full with mostly prop
Oh
stuff.
my lord. Oh
Man,
lord.
I'm telling you, this place would be a dream
make it work. Make it work.
because there's a walkway that goes all the way down the side of the house, through the backyard, all the way to the other side of the house. And I'm thinking, oh my God, and all these windows that I want are in the back, and all the projection and all the stuff I could do. But we're not only, like I said, we're only here for another year. So I can keep dreaming, but I can't do it. Too much money.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
All right. Well, thank you, Lisa. We're
Sure
gonna go finish up with Chris. Chris, we have your coral reefs to show again.
Yeah, that's just a further away image of the full thing once it was completed. That's when you're walking in through the first part of the haunt.
I love the coral. Oh wait, what's this little guy here? What is this like? Is that one of your lizard things?
No,
You
it's
said it was
a moray.
moray? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. You think
Yeah, I
I
had
would
2
know
or
this
3 of
after
those.
just seeing a bunch of coral reef all last week? I would know.
Yeah, it's a lizard.
Yeah.
Oh, look at you hear little brag there. Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah,
there
you
you
see
go.
that? Yeah, vacation.
just came back from
Yeah,
looking at
there
all
you
the
go. Nemo didn't make it. He died, so
Oh
Poor Nemo.
no. Nemo.
that's okay. Dory got impaled on a pufferfish.
Oh Jesus. Oh. Oh, this guy died too by a
Yeah.
crab.
So that's what it. Yeah, like a crab fisherman that got stuck in the line when he's throwing the traps overboard. And then I just carved out this crab. The main part of the crab was the top of a different prop I had. I was tearing apart. I'm like,
You
it's
can
sort
be
of
part of
crab
it
shape.
too, no. Okay.
So then I just took I took some sheets of foam and cut the basic form for the legs out and then carved them down. Attached
Nice.
skewers and stuff.
That's one of my
Yeah.
biggest fears is crabs. So you just totally freaked me out for going through your
Yeah,
haunt.
that was pretty big. Actually, I have a picture of it. Like it's actually like where the claws are holding like a baby-sized doll. So it's actually really large crab. Or just put it outside your window.
Yep.
Yeah,
Oh, is this
and
that
then
prop from the first picture?
yeah, so that's the kicker in the middle of the tentacles, and then that's the giant squid I made. From tip to end, he was like 14 feet long. The all the foam for the main part of that squid was sheets that I just glued together with Gorilla Glue to make a large big block, and then just with the wire cutters and shavers carved it all down.
Nice.
Yeah, and then the board, has other fake boards for the shipwreck that the diver was supposed to be like investigating.
So what you use, just airbrush that or just paint?
No,
marker?
it's all hand painted. The tentacles I spray painted, but the other one it's all brush painted. I wish I had an airbrush.
Bob Kalal would like to know, do you have a bubble maker or a fog machine? What do you use? Have you ever thought of a bubble maker?
I thought about it. I didn't have one. I do have a fog machine, but just where it would have ended up in the middle of the haunt, I ended up not using it. I think it would have overpowered in the back of the garage.
Oh, you definitely need a bubble machine.
Yeah, right.
That's a good idea.
And then this is one of the things I started this year. I just started messing around with those little plastic roaches and put it on a wig head, glued them all on, got some fake teeth in there and some slime. It's going to be like a janitor or something that got infested and kind of converted over into a bug person.
I'm getting some serious creep show vibes off that guy.
Yeah.
What do you got in his mouth? Is that all hot glue again?
Yeah, it's hot. Yeah, it's hot glue put in there to drip out while it was still hot, and then I just went back and painted it with some like mustard yellow colors.
Wow,
Just
nice.
left it nice down and stringy. Yeah, it worked out pretty good for that.
How many cockroaches you use for that thing?
It's those little bags you can buy. So that's
Oh, okay, so
probably
it wasn't that bad.
So it's probably about like 6 bags total by the time I was done between that and that hand that I'd worked on. But I didn't like the basic color, so I went back and painted all of them so that they weren't just that rubber like black color. Yeah, and that's one of the first ones I made when I started to fish last year was the anglerfish.
Does that glow?
Yeah, it does.
Nice.
Yep. Yeah, the little tip of it glows in the dark.
What'd you make the teeth out of in that? Maybe you mentioned it earlier. I just probably wasn't paying
Teeth
attention.
are glue. I just formed those on the mat too, pulled them off, and then glued them in place. It's all glue.
Damn.
The only thing on there that's not glue is maybe the eyes. Those might be the stones too. If not, I might have made them out of glue. I can't remember at this point. But yeah, there's no basic structure in there that's not glue because I will even make like the supports, just make extra thick pieces that are around it or will hold that shape. And then I said I might stuff bags in it just to keep it once it's there, but it would stand on its own without them.
That's crazy.
It's poor man's 3D printer. Works for me. And then I do tombstones too.
Very cool.
Yeah, so most of those are homemade. I've got bits and pieces. Like one of the blue cross in the front was like a store-bought thing, and then I made an extra base to put it on just to make it more interesting. But for the most part, those are either carved or stuff I've attached to other foam.
Nice.
What are these? Oh, you can't really tell if I zoom in.
Yeah, those are 1 year after Spirit was done. Like I don't know what they had, like a hotel or something theme. They had the tubes that they tossed out.
Oh, okay.
So I repurposed the column tubes that were there, and then I painted them up, gave them some bases and some like I got some fake leaves and put on there so it looks like sculptured work. And then I just put like half skulls on top of each of them, so it lines my like back walkway.
Oh, I thought that I actually thought they were babies on top of it.
Yeah.
That would work too, but no, they're half skulls.
Yeah, it looks like babies, and then the little brown parts like their little diapers.
Yeah, and way in the back is the thing you can see me from 2 years ago. That's my corn witch again.
Yeah. Man, that corn witch is badass.
Yeah, it's gone now.
Oh, is it?
I stored it in the garage, and the bugs got into it. So I just left it out in the weather this year, and so when the season was over, I had to tear it apart.
Damn.
Yeah, but yeah, it was they were getting into it too much.
Well, thank you, Chris. And well, unfortunately, it's coming to that time of the night again where we've gone through another episode of hANUTERS Hangout. Sad face. Wah, wah, wah. Well, thank you guys for coming on tonight. It's been an awesome episode. You guys all have amazing haunts. Definitely go back into the comments on the Facebook post later to answer any questions that we didn't get to tonight. I want to thank you guys for coming on again. And I'm going to pass it over now to Kathy for our... Oh, wait, I got to get the picture. Oh,
To
no.
see who won the prize.
Yeah, to see who won prizes. Woo, woo.
All right.
All right.
Awesome
You
questions.
can go ahead, Kathy. We got it up. Boom.
All right.
All right.
For that awesome pig mask from Face Factory Effects, Timothy Preston Meadows.
Nice.
For the Fright Props Zombie Latex Mask, Doug Cox. For the Simple Audio, that gets the SFX library, 25% off original sound design, 10% off Session Manor.
Woo-woo! We need our clap button, man. Where'd that clap?
know,
Bring
we
the
need
clap
that, like
button
that audio.
back.
For the Nut and Bone Cracker ornament from Horror Ornaments, Christy Farrell. 1 gallon of fog from Foggy's Fog, Linda Forbes Pearson.
Congrats. Woo-woo!
6 awesome badges from Scarrett Badges, Chef Jeff Foster.
Nice.
All right, 1 of 3 of the realistic looking skulls from Nightmare Makers, Mark Block. the $25 gift certificate from XFX Makeup, Greg Monkey Sweer.
Greg
Nice.
Monkey, yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. Greg
From
Monkey.
Exotic Lenses, 1 free non-prescription normal size lenses, Mark DeCassian.
Congrats, Mark.
Amazing mask from Missing Finger Productions, Anna Kaywood Jones. And last but not least, Hotwire Foam Factory, $25 gift card, Carissa Giesler. And don't forget Sam Haynes, 50% off for everyone watching tonight. The code is in the code HANUTERS.
All right, guys, don't forget, get your Hunters Hangout shirts for St. Jude's Children's Hospital. 100% of the proceeds go to St. Jude's, so don't miss out. It's going to end up, we're going to, hopefully by the end of this month, we're going to get them shirts ordered, so don't wait. Get your shirt now. Get your shirt now. Do it for the children, damn it.
Get your shirt now.
Dude, that was scary.
That's good.
All right, you guys. I want to thank everyone for coming on. I want to thank Kathy and Phil. Phil, that's kind of like an iffy night for you tonight, coming back that first day. But I love you, bro. You're all right.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. Now, just remember, you guys, message me if you're a winner. You have until tomorrow night to do it. Otherwise, the prize just goes away. All right. Thanks, everybody, for coming on. You guys had a great hunt. Don't forget, next week we have a prop application, 3 different ways to make props. Don't miss that show. It's going to be awesome. All right. And we are out of here.
Thank you.
Bye.